how would you recommend somebody get into this? So maybe talk to it from like a producer who's making some stuff on the side, some beats, or has some extra free time. They're trying to like go full time. They still want to do production, but they see this as an option to maybe get them over that hump or through that wall of being able to go like full time music.
Yeah.
How would you direct that person?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing, and always the first step, is do your research. Go look up those licensing companies. Find the ones that are putting out music that most align to what you do easily, quickly, naturally, that are, your personal expressive voice. What companies are doing that, or what companies are maybe lacking in that? Like, maybe you could fill a hole in that library that, they don't have a whole lot of hip hop or something, and maybe they're looking for that. And start there, research, listen to the top tracks on the platform, listen through to the different genres and the mood tags. And a lot of times they'll have playlists that are like staff picks. That's a great place to start, because obviously if the staff is excited about it, then you're a lot more likely to get onto the platform. So do your research, make a list of companies that you want to pitch your music to, and then write for that company. Like, write with that company in mind. Like, how can I serve this company? Because the harsh truth about licensing music is that you have your artists and your artistic expression, right? And then you have licensing music. Now, you need to bridge the gap somewhere. You need to bring this artist side of your brain into the licensing format, but you're still serving a client. You're still writing music that serves a purpose. And that, of course, I don't ever want to discount the artistic side of it, because you need to put your creativity into it. And you need to stand out by, putting your own voice into it. However, you're still serving a client. So start with what the client wants, what the client needs, and serve that. And then, come up with 3 tracks, just a simple EP, and make sure it looks good, make sure it sounds good, make sure the 3 songs that you have written are all in the same genre, and fit together, like, they don't have to be exactly the same, of course, but you want them to have a bit of a theme, so that when the company listens to your music, they're like, oh, this serves this purpose, and I get it. If you have like one folk song and one hip hop song and, a metal song or whatever, it's like, they'll be like, oh, well, we don't really understand exactly what you do. They don't understand the product. So you kind of have to lay the product out, your music out, like a product, so that people understand exactly what it is that you do, exactly what it is that this product is going to do in their catalog. And then you follow all the rules for submission. So they're going to have it listed out on their website. This is how you submit. This is what we want. There's going to be some like steps that you'll need to follow, and follow them very closely. If you mess up, that's the first red flag on their side. So just pay attention to the instructions and do what they ask you to do. And then the final thing that I would say to somebody trying to get into that today is, don't be offended if they say no. Like, don't worry about it, because honestly, people say no to me all the time. Like that is part of the business. And
yeah, I feel like, especially in sync, it's like partially a numbers game, where it's like you can only do so much. Like, it's not like it's a super controlled environment. Like, you don't actually know what they want aside from, the words that they have to offer. So, it's really just about like doing the best that you can do, and like just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that whoever's listening to these and sorting through them, is kind of looking for that particular thing that you also heard in your head whenever they mentioned those words,
Exactly. I mean, music is relative to the listener, right? Like, Mm-hmm. Like you have to be in the right mental headspace to understand what the music is saying at that time. And some people can see through that more and some people can't. And you never really know. I don't know if you've read the book Big Magic.
No, who's that
Elizabeth
by?
Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. But this book, Big Magic, is, I suggest it to any creative person. It is foundational, honestly. It's beautiful. It's a very interesting way to understand creativity. But anyway, in that book, she talks about how she wrote this short story and was submitting it to all these publishers, right? And she remembers vividly submitting it to one particular publisher that she really wanted to get published by, and the publisher turned her down. Said, the story doesn't have a good ending. Basically, I don't like it. Like, keep trying. About, I think she said it was like maybe 5 or 10 years later or something like that. She had an agent who was pitching all of her material, and she pitched this same unedited short story to this same publisher. And that same publisher replied back immediately, loved the story, said she loved the ending. Like, you never know, because maybe that was the 100th story she had read in that day, the first time she read it, and she was like, her brain was broken or whatever, and was just like over it. I know that, like, I'll be working on a track, and at the end of the day, I'm like hungry and tired, and I think everything sounds like dog crap. And then I go back to it the next day, and I'm like, oh no, it's all good.
Or the fatal opposite happens.
And
like,
it is great.
And then, like, you're on your way to go get a cup of coffee in the morning. You're like, oh, I'm going to listen to that song. And you're like, all right, maybe I'll listen after I get my coffee. And then you get your coffee, and then you listen to it again. And you're like, no, this is still just the worst thing I've ever made. I'll uninstall Pro Tools.
Why would I do this to myself?
Yeah, why would I do this?
It's true. You never know.